I call this meeting of the South Washington County Telecommunications Commission to order. As previously noticed, this meeting is being conducted by telephonic means pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D.021. On August 18th of 2021, Mark Martinez, our Executive Director, issued a written determination that the Commission's in-person meetings and meetings conducted under Minnesota Statute Section 13D.02 are not practical or prudent because of the ongoing COVID-19 health pandemic, particularly the Delta variant of the virus, and that it is not feasible to allow members of the public to attend the Commission's meetings at the Commission's regular meeting locations, or to require the Commission's Chief Legal Counsel, the Commission's Chief Administrative Officer, or any Commission Director to be physically present at the Commission's regular meeting locations. This meeting is being conducted through telephonic means. All commissioners, whether in person here or online, can hear each other, and all discussion and testimony will be taken, and all votes will be conducted by roll call. Members of the public were invited and are invited to participate in this meeting by calling the meeting phone number of 312-626-6799 with a passcode of 675611. So, Mr. Executive Director, do we have quorum to conduct business tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
All right. Would you conduct a roll call?
Chair James.
Here.
Vice Chair Bloom.
Here.
Treasurer Date. Secretary Rom.
Here.
Commissioner, Councilmember Ingeman.
Here.
Councilmember Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Downs.
Here.
Randy Olson.
Present.
Also in attendance, Mr. Chair, as staff members Ann Schweisguth, Lonnie Garland, and Janelle Butte is conducting the cablecast. We also have our general counsel from Bradley Law, Tu Zhang, present. State Representative
Very
Zhang.
good. All right, thank you. All right, we've all had a chance, got the agenda that was produced ahead of time, so do I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for tonight?
Motion to approve the agenda?
I'll second.
All right, Mark, do you want to do a roll on the approval of the agenda?
Yes. James.
Aye.
Bloom.
Aye.
Rom.
Aye.
Ingeman.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Downs.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Excellent. All right. Now we move on to the public comment. We obviously have no one in person here. I'm guessing we have no one online, so we'll move on. Consent agenda, a couple of items on the consent agenda. I'll look for a motion in a second to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
All right, conduct a roll.
James.
Aye.
Bloom.
Aye.
Rom.
Aye.
Ingeman.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Downs.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. Moving on to the heart of the meeting. Reports, Mr. Executive Director.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you, and commission members. I'm going to jump to page 3 of my report to the MACTA section. I'd like to report on the annual conference that took place last week. It was a successful event. We had over 100 participants, half of which were online. It was a hybrid event, and we had great turnout, great response. The sponsorship was up this year from last year. My role as president of MACTA was to work on sponsorship, and I was able to bring in new sponsors. ASI was one of them, and so was able to raise $1,500 that goes towards our legislative and lobbying efforts at the state, which really essentially works towards maintaining local control of the municipal's right-of-way, and that's really essentially our main goal. And of course, cable television is part of that. I also worked with the governor's office to receive a welcome from the governor again this year, second year, and also worked with providing the keynote speaker, Tane Danger, which was a nice to have. his comedic presence there at the conference. But I do have the, also like to mention that staff members Brian Schmidt, Elena Myers, and Lonnie Garland also participated in the planning of the conference and also with the event panels. So thanks to them for making it a success. I brought with me tonight the governor's video that I'd like to play for you. Runs about a minute, 15 seconds. So I can roll that here.
Hi everyone, Governor Tim Walz here. Thank you to the Minnesota Association of Community Telecommunications Administrators for having me. Community and media outlets provide relevant information to Minnesotans across this state that also uplift diverse voices. It's because of outlets like you who tell Minnesotans stories that we're stronger and more vibrant state. Understanding life-changing updates in a comprehensive and easily accessible manner drives Minnesotans toward becoming a more equitable state. This is how we learn, this is how we grow. And without local media outlets to provide small and wide-scope information, the opportunity for Minnesotans to have their voices heard within their communities would become much more difficult. This is especially true as we continue to discover new information about the COVID-19 pandemic. From where to get tested and vaccinated to community members' concerns, these are important local information that continues to keep us safe and healthy. Thank you again to the Minnesota Association of Community Telecommunications Administrators for having me, and more importantly, for providing Minnesotans with imperative information that helps aid them to become safer, more equitable, and a more informed Minnesota.
Moving on in my report, the Strategic Planning Committee met on September 30th. It was the first time we got the committee together with the staff since our first meeting back in the first part of last year. I've been working with the staff through the summer on and off, and then we got together with the committee. And so it was informative, and the feedback we got from the committee was that we're on the right track. There are some new members on the committee, so I'd like to convene the committee one more time to bring in some of the new members in the committee and get their feedback. I think because they're new, I'd like to give them a little more time to digest the information and provide some feedback. And it's my intention that when we meet here for our December meeting, we'll have some finalized plans with that, so then that way we can hit the ground running in January. And then I received our operations manager, Ann Schweisguth, and technical manager, Lonnie Garland, will be providing reports too regarding production and technology and projects. I just want to close here by saying that I did receive the Q3 notification of revenue, and I can safely forecast now that we'll probably end the year approximately $100,000 to $125,000 exceeding our revenue budget by $100,000 to $125,000. That does not include the additional $80,000 we received in the Comcast settlement for underpayment. So that's looking good. When we get into the budget section, that hadn't been reflected yet in the budget section for this year, but I just wanted to give you that brief update. That's all I have. So I'd like to turn the floor over to Ann Schweisguth.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Mark. Tonight, I want to give you a sneak peek at a brand new video series. This has not been released to the public yet. It's going to be released next week, so you guys are the first to view it. It's called Connecting the East Metro Gold Line. This was a collaborative project with Washington County, City of Woodbury, City of Oakdale, and with some assistance by Metro Transit. The purpose of the series is to kind of provide information about the future BRT bus route that'll take riders from Woodbury to St. Paul. And the really fun part about this series is we hired professional on-camera talent, and Mark mentioned his name earlier. His name is Tane Danger, and yes, that is his real name. He's hosted videos for Metro Transit and others, and also worked with TPT. Tane is a self-proclaimed bus and transportation geek. Those people are very hard to find. We hired him, to bring some energy and some improv comedy to the series, and he's been really great to work with. So, Lonnie, can you play that video?
Yep, it's all queued up.
Hi, I'm Tane Danger. This is a series called Connecting the East Metro, Gold Line Edition, where we are learning all about bus rapid transit connecting the East Metro. We are joined by a very special guest today, Charles Carlson, who heads up all of BRT for Metro Transit. And, you're already here. Okay, that's good. Hi, I am very excited to talk to you. We are on a bus rapid transit bus. I don't know, can you just tell me a little bit about this bus? Because this is what people will be on for the Gold Line.
Yeah, so this is a very exciting bus. This is a 60-foot bus that was manufactured in St. Cloud, Minnesota, so it's from right here in town. We use this on bus rapid transit lines. So there are 3 doors for this bus. You get on and off any door of the bus, no lining up at the front door, paying one at a time. The bus quickly gets back on its way, and they're special just for BRT, so we're excited about them.
So one of the things we want to talk about is this new line, Gold Line, going across the East Metro. Obviously, the bus and getting people there is a big piece of it. And there's also a bunch of other infrastructure that is coming along with the project. Tell us about the really interesting infrastructure.
Yeah, the Gold Line is the first of its kind in a dedicated guideway BRT project. And what that means is the bus will be running primarily in its own lane or its own roadway. And it's the first one of these that we've built in the Twin Cities. So in addition to that, we also have a lot of places where we're not going through intersections, we're going up and over intersections.
Like a hover bus.
Like a hover bus, but with a bridge.
Oh.
So we'll be able to really speed up the route and also allow traffic to flow freely whenever the bus is going by.
So, brass tacks question here, Charles. How much is this thing going to cost me?
Yeah, so we're expecting the project will cost around $500 million, and it's been in development for a number of years. We've been somewhere in that ballpark. So
is $500 million? Is that a lot? Is that I have no real $500 sounds like a lot of money to me. So $500 million sounds like a lot of money. But I'm also thinking this is 10 miles, 21 stops, connecting multiple cities. I have not really a lot of context.
Yeah, so it's quite a bit more cost effective than a rail project would be. So that right there is a big savings, but it is a large project and it also involves a lot of other enhancements like pedestrian infrastructure. There's over $20 million worth of pedestrian trails that we're building as part of this project, and the project will build new roadway bridges. It'll replace the 4th Street Bridge over 694 in Oakdale. It'll build a brand new bridge for both BRT and for cars between Oakdale and Woodbury in the Bielenberg-Helmo Bridge.
And so $500 million, who or how is that getting paid for? I don't have $500 million.
Yeah, luckily we have a variety of funders. So the federal government, we're seeking a grant that would pay about 45% of the project from the FTA. Our local funds that would match that grant would actually come from Washington County and from Ramsey County, and there's a handful of very small other sources, but the primary funds would come from Washington County and Ramsey County.
When you say it's coming from those counties, is this like property tax things? Is it sales tax? How does that all happen?
Yeah, so each of the counties has a county sales tax that is used for transportation investments, and we'd be using some of the proceeds from those sales taxes.
So I got to tell you, I like this bus. This is very comfortable. When can I take a bus like this out into the East Metro?
Great question. So right now we're finishing the design. We're hoping to get the funding for the project this winter into next year and start construction in 2022. That would allow us to finish construction and ride this bus in 2025.
You can ride in 2025.
That's right. And we have a number of other projects that will be opening in the meantime, starting with the Orange Line this December. So you could ride this bus in December on the Orange Line.
Listen, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You're applying to the feds for all this money and like support and things, and you should put in the application how cool it is to be able to say you can ride in 2025 because it rhymes.
There is a more intangible section of the application, and that's a great idea. We'll put that in.
Well, thank you so much, Charles, for chatting with me. My name is Tane Danger. This has been Connecting the East Metro Gold Line Edition. If you want to learn more about the Gold Line project, you can go to metrotransit.org/gold-line. But until next time, thank you so much, and can we ride the bus together somewhere?
We can ride it right now.
Goodbye, everybody.
So that's Tane Danger. I think we picked the right guy, the right person. So there's going to be 5 videos in that series. They're going to be coming out next week, and you can watch them all. We anticipate doing more videos as kind of the Gold Line starts getting major construction. Maybe some more episodes in 2023 is what we're thinking right now. So, Mark, did you want me to talk about awards, or were you planning to do that?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. I noticed that I think it's up there by you, Rob, right?
Yes.
Yep. So we did in fact win the Emmy at the Upper Midwest Regional Emmy Awards Gala for the Water Doc, Water, the Oil of Our Century. It won in the short or long form content category, and we're very excited about that. That's our second Emmy win. So Mark takes it everywhere. He just hangs it around his neck. It's amazing. We also won 3 NATOA awards, an award of excellence, which is basically first place for Water, the Oil of Our Century, an award of excellence for There's No Stopping the Washington County Library, and an award of honor for Stay a Lee Bag Apart. So those are big wins this year, and we're very excited. We have a really talented team, and we're just excited to bring those home.
Excellent.
So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess I get to follow you, Ann. You always have the cool videos, and I have to talk about technology, so thank you. I was trying to keep up today. A lot of things going on. Damon Price is our IT specialist. He's helping me. Great guy, loads of knowledge with audio. We've already had him. We went back out to Eagle Valley to adjust the mics again, and I guess no news is good news. I haven't heard any complaints or any more issues with that. So he knows a little bit about the Teresa DSPs, so he can go in and do some audio tweaks. We actually found out that we can do online restaurant training now, and it's free. And so him and I are both going to do I will do some minimal restaurant training. He will do lots of restaurant training. But hopefully, when it comes down to like restaurants shutting off at a certain time, we can go in and do it ourselves and eliminate some of those service calls that we've had in the past. Little things have been going on, like Eagle Valley, monitors. We've got monitors fixed. We've had some issues with 98-inch monitors being shipped broken. That's on the shipping. We haven't had to pay for those. But they have arrived, and right now everybody knows that distribution is very difficult. So when things break or we need to replace something, it takes a while to get it. Central Fire, that training room is being updated with new cameras, new ceiling microphones. We are waiting on a piece of equipment for that to happen. Hopefully in December that a piece of equipment will be here so we can update Central Fire in Cottage Grove so that they can use that room for remote training, video conferencing, and those kind of things, which is a great upgrade for them. Some other things working on, we are at the end of life with our playback system for playing back shows on our channels, and we are researching we're waiting on bids actually for a new playback system. That one of the benefits of that is it will allow us to take a RTPM feed, like a YouTube feed or this, and play it live to the channel. So if we're doing a live event, we can actually send that link back to our playback system and pick it up live. So we can play it on the channel and stream it at the same time. Right now we have a process of going through another computer, patching it. This would be a way simpler process. Also, the new system will have closed captioning. And the goal is to close caption meetings for right now. It's expensive. Closed captioning is just very expensive. There's a hardware and a software side to both of that. And right now we put it on channel 16 for any meetings. Now, that if we have double meetings that night, we have to kind of pick and choose which meeting was going to be. I would say any council meeting would be closed captioned. Then, when the meeting is over, or if we're putting a program that we've produced in-house, say a video on public safety, we could run that through the closed captioning encoder and encode that, and then play it back on our channel closed captioned. So ADA compliant, we're close. It's, I would say, closer than we have with YouTube. We will still use YouTube for live events and those kind of things, but I think we're getting closer to having some of that closed captioning available. Then, let's see, playback, what else? There was something else I forgot. Sorry. It's in the packet. If you have questions, you can surely ask me. I did want to show you guys one thing. Ben Strobeck works with Rob. This is the EOC at Woodbury's Public Safety, and they had what was the size of that screen? 100-inch screen maybe, with an old projector. And a really old projector. Matter of fact, the touch panel on the wall was burning up. Literally, it was burnt, like a burn mark on it. It was overheating. So we replaced all that, and this is 4 75-inch monitors. I forgot. Put together to make one video wall with speakers on both sides. It has a speaker bar on the bottom and a camera. And what's cool about this is you can have one large image. As you can see, we're watching the Food Network. Yes, I was working. We also can separate each monitor into a separate input. So you can have cable, you could have a laptop, I think you have a street view camera you could put up there. There's lots of inputs that can go in here. So you could actually split this into 4 quadrants, the sound bar and the camera for video conferencing. And what's really cool about this is if none of that worked, you could walk in with your laptop, plug it into this HDMI cable, and it would go right to the monitor. So it gives them some redundancy, but it's a really, really efficient and economical way to do a video wall, for one thing, because video walls are very expensive. But this gives them lots of options to view and show what they need to in EOC. So I'm pretty proud of this one. I don't know why. It's cool, and it works really great. And for the price we got it for, it's fantastic. So I just wanted a little show and tell there. Other than that, that's all I have. If you got questions, fire away. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lonnie, and thanks, Ann. Let me pull up the packet.
So Mark, were you going to get to the additional items under your report at the very end? I just wanted to ask, unless you were going to cover it already.
Sorry, I'm scrolling here. Let me stop the share. Additional items.
Ideas and additional?
Yep.
So you didn't touch on it, but your election to the ACM National Board. So I know you were ending your stint as the MACTA president just this year, right? Or
My term is up with MACTA, yes, at the end of this year.
at the end of this, is this,
I am running again for the MACTA board for the state board.
oh, you are, okay. But then you've been elected to the national board?
Wasn't elected to the national board as well.
Okay.
Yep.
So that was something new I hadn't heard about, I guess. So, yeah. So what is, this is where, NATOA, MACTA, what is ACM?
Yeah. They're very similar associations. MACTA is a chapter of NATOA, and so it's closely related to NATOA.
Okay.
NATOA focuses on national federal issues, and the state chapters focus on the state.
Yep.
Alliance for Community Media has regions, and then the national board. Because we're both in cable television and community media, both entities pay attention to what's happening at the federal level and state levels. Where they really differ is where NOTOA is heavy on policy and telecommunications policy and gets really deep into wireless and cellular policy as well.
Yep.
And Alliance for Community Media stays focused on public educational and government channel programming with even more emphasis on public access television that still occurs around the country. So what's really great about, I certainly like the policy stuff. I think where we're going with our strategic plan, it's good to really work with Alliance for Community Media as we look to really engage with our community and get back into the educational, realm with what we do. That's their focus, and so I feel like there's a lot to learn there with that group of people. They're based out of Washington, D.C., or Virginia, and Mike Wassenaar is the CEO of that, and he was the former executive director. He's from Minnesota, and he's the former executive director at St. Paul Neighborhood Network and has become a friend, colleague over the years. He reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested.
Okay.
So, it was nice to get the invite from the president.
So do they hold a national conference like NOTOA does then?
Yep,
Have you guys gone to it before?
yep.
You have, okay,
I don't know if Lonnie has, but I have, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the national, no.
Yeah,
okay. And then they have local meetings then?
regional. Yep.
Regional, what is the region?
It's
Minnesota,
Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois is that's where Mike is actually tonight. That's why he's not here today, is because he's at the regional ACM conference in Milwaukee.
oh, okay, all right. So for 2022, you'll be part of that? Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yep,
all right, well, congratulations on that,
thank you.
okay. Yeah, and did you want to touch on any of the other items there?
I'll do it for my report,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
very
I'm happy
good.
to take any questions.
I guess that was my question.
Okay.
Moving on, the treasure update, you had that in the packet, and then you just verbally updated that you had gotten the Q3 verbal. So is there anything more you want to say about the budget?
Nope, that was it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
As long as everything stays the same, we should be exceeding our revenue.
okay.
Yeah.
And so I know two is online. I guess we'll move on to the legal update. So take it away.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, my name is Tu Zhang. I'm one of the attorneys here over at Bradley Law. As Mark had just mentioned, Mike is at the ACM Regional Conference in Wisconsin, and I think they're talking about licensing for music for PEG channels. And so Mike has two presentations, and so he just couldn't miss it. And so he's there, and I'll be here with you today and give you an update on the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals case, Eugene versus FCC. And Mike had previously shared in the email, there's the November 1st deadline for filing the appeal of the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals decision. And so, we're advising our clients not to file a petition, but then we will have an opportunity to write a letter of support. And so we will be following that as it's moving forward. And so we're working with our other partners. And so a petition is likely going to be filed before November 1st or Monday, coming up here pretty fast. And so we will be working on a letter of support. And if the petition is granted, we will be looking to work on a brief in support of other local governments and their efforts to, work on the Sixth Circuit case with Eugene and the FCC. And so that's sort of our quick update for you today. And I'll be here with you. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And Mike will be back. And so we're, following this case closely. And Mike is licensed to practice before the Supreme Court. And so we're thinking that there's a good case that the Supreme Court will take this on as it's an issue that's impacting the entire state with courts and with cases in Maine all the way to Washington. And so that's where we are right now. And so we're waiting for the November 1st petition.
Very good.
Yep.
I thought your update, the most interesting thing was your last item about the states that are suing about the internet streaming services, which really kind of gets to the heart of like franchising, that we struggle with the cable company, is internet service in our, that's in the same lines. Why is that not, able to be covered under a franchise fee versus, having TV service? So I found those interesting, and I'll want to make sure that we keep updated. It sounds like you got there's multiple states that are suing, but they're going after the streaming services. It sounds like Netflix and Hulu, which I thought was an interesting route to go. So is there anything more about what's happening with any of those cases?
Yeah, certainly, it's making the rounds, different states. The streaming service is something that's growing throughout the entire country. And so the first few cases are going through the court system right now. We don't have any final decisions on any of the district court cases, federal court cases yet, but we will keep you posted, and we are following them really closely.
Very good.
Thank you, Chair.
Yep. All right. Well, if there's no other questions for the executive director or legal, I guess we can move on to the unfinished business, which is the approval of our 2022 budget. Mark, you want to hit some highlights of that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commission Directors. We'll jump into next year's budget. We've been working on this over the last few months now, and the Executive Committee has had an opportunity to see this 2 times now. I'll jump into the nuts and bolts here as we talk about, in the memo, page 1, the capital investments that are being proposed for next year. And so this page here details what we've talked about with the member cities and what we have planned for the year. Obviously, things come up throughout the year that we can address, throughout the year, but this is where we're at right now. We are looking at a $500,000 capital expense for the year, which is historically been our average. And any questions on capital improvements before we move on to the next portion?
We have one question. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark, I have a question with respect to 2 things. Number 1, Great Cloud Island. I believe it's been discussed on several different occasions that Great Cloud Island folks don't really have access to Comcast. So they're not able to enjoy the internet opportunity that Comcast would provide, the cable TV opportunity Comcast would provide, et cetera. And in speaking with Senator Bigham about that issue, she mentioned that there's some state money that is available to potentially help support providing access to our friends on Great Cloud that they don't currently have. But there's some stipulation about matching funds and that sort of thing. And what I'd like to know, first of all, is does that sort of fall under the purview of SWCTC as a partner to try to help our friends in Great Cloud have that sort of access that they don't currently enjoy? Since, it seems like it's in our alley, but I don't know if there are any legal reasons why we wouldn't be able to help. And then secondly, if it is within our purview, what would that look like?
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly in our franchise agreement, build out is a very important piece of the franchise. And so we want, in that document, we want Comcast to be able to build out throughout our communities. And so there are pockets that are unserved. And so the commission can decide to invest in that reinforcement, should you decide you want to. It's definitely, I believe, in our purview. Broadband, as we learned through the pandemic, getting everyone connected, and the state's view on it from the governor down, and the allocation of the money for the grants, is that we'd like to see everybody connected throughout the state in all areas, border to border. And so I do believe it's in our purview. What that would look like is that, Gray Cloud, and I've assisted them in getting them the documentation to apply for the grant. We'd have to meet with them and really work with them to apply for the grant. The grant would be awarded up to 50% of the proposed estimate, and I did receive an estimate from Comcast to build out in that area. And just to be clear, they're currently not wanting to build out in that area because of a return of value business model that they have. That's been their position up to this point. So a program like this kind of helps Comcast a lot too, so that they're able to bring in and build out the system, bring in the new customers, and it's makes more business sense for them. So these dollars at the state are allocated currently in the budget, which is not a sure thing for an ongoing funding from the state. Although there is more support and growing support with this program, we're not 100% guaranteed that the funds will be available in the future. So now the funds are available now, and so now is the time to really try to have this conversation. Certainly from the commission's point of view and what you as the directors and the board want to do, if you feel that's an appropriate way you want to invest our money into capital to help our friends there, then we could do it.
To piggyback on what you said.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The state money is there now. It's been allocated in the state budget, which is what I heard from Senator Bigham. But it sounds like that's not something that has historically always been there, and so there's no guarantee it'll be there in the future. Therefore, if you were going to pursue a project of this type, the time is of the essence. Now would be a good time. And I think what I heard you say is there would need to be a partnership between Gray Cloud and SWCTC to write a compelling grant, submit that grant, and then you mentioned there's some matching funds and you got a cost estimate. What was that cost estimate? What would that look like?
The total build out was approximately $117,000, and Comcast committed to $17,000 of that, which
Okay.
left Gray Cloud with looking at about a little over $90,000. So taking into consideration, if they were to receive the grant, they need a community partner or partners that would make up the remaining 50%, which is approximately $50,000.
And is that something that that we can afford to do? I mean, is that something that is realistic?
Well, we have our reserves that could be allocated towards that. Yeah,
Okay.
if that's what the board would like to do.
It just seems like, they are a part of this commission, they are a part of this community, but they're not enjoying any of the benefits of access. And so if there's a way to partner with the state and hopefully gain some additional funding via, that grant program, you've got Comcast who's willing to pitch in a certain dollar amount. Seems logical that we might want to take advantage of that opportunity and try to move something forward. So in order for that to happen, do you need the executive committee to have a vote on that?
Yep, I can bring
Okay.
it to the executive committee to
Okay.
start the conversation.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. The last thing I wanted to ask is, you talked about your new assignment, and you mentioned that group focuses more on sort of educational elements of community access, which when I was a young person and SWCTC existed, there was a partnership between SWCTC and the school district that I think has sort of fallen by the wayside. So is our intent then to try to regain some level of partnership with the school district?
Oh, absolutely, yep. What I've realized going through the strategic planning process is that is a key partner for us in many different ways. And many other community media centers work with the school districts, whether they're providing high school sports, broadcasting that, events. And so over the years, those entities, and there's some here in Minnesota real close to us that have invested in that capability to produce sports live. And we haven't chose to do that over the years, but what we decided last year as we started to embark on the strategic plan initiatives there's certain things we could do. We could host one or two, really important games, crosstown rival games, make a big deal out of it. And we did carry a hockey game last year that was a lot of success. Yeah, tremendous success. We got a good feedback on that. So we'd like to do more of that. And that was kind of the first step where we realized, hey, we could be doing more with them at low cost stuff. We're not necessarily having to invest a ton of money. Just by what I'd like to do is work on those, get to know the folks over there more. I did have a recent meeting with the communications director over there at the district and pitched him ideas about things we'd like to do in the summer, for example, to help supplement what they're doing with teaching video to their students. Maybe we could do a summer program over and help continue to train and mentor some of the students for like a week-long program. And there's many templates out there that we could use to do something like that. Other centers are doing. Some centers have full-time youth media staff. That's how much they're involved with the school. So it's a growth area for us for sure. We could also, I mentioned at our last meeting, TPT's grant, $9 million grant that they received to do STEM programming. We have capacity on our channels to add additional content. And so we're hoping that maybe we can connect with an instructor or teacher who's building an educational brand, if you will, or they're online content creators themselves, passionate about social media. Maybe they're already creating some content, and they can work with us to create some unique content for our channels that we can put on our channels and add that element of STEM curriculum to our channel. So lots of really growth areas. I mentioned it. I spoke to Pepe over there. He thought it was a great idea. He wanted to table it for now till early next year to get through some of the things he's working on. But we got the ball rolling. We're starting the ball rolling. So I envision we'll need to add a little bit of money in the budget to, once we get those programs in place, to maybe buy some workstations for the students, for example. And so I'd like to do that in the future. I think by this time next year, we'll really I'll have a lot more insight as to where we can add value into the schools, so.
With the goal being, as part of the strategic plan, to really be a community partner, it seems logical that we would want to partner with our schools. Great schools are a foundational building block to great communities. And I know that growing up as a theater kid, which I was,
Nice.
we had a lot of production going on for our shows. And like at Park High School, there's a big production area with lights and cameras and all those sorts of things. And it just feels like maybe some of those young people might benefit from, whether it's an internship or a summer program or something, to enhance their skill set and maybe continue to pique their interest as a career path. And what a great way to build that partnership. So I asked that question because, as you stated, if there needed to be some funding implemented for something like that, I certainly think it makes sense. And it would also be pretty fun. I mean, let's face it, working with young people and teaching them the skills that they may need for, to become the next Lonnie. That would be, yeah, that would be very exciting. I could see a whole class full of people with Lonnie posters on their wall. I mean, the whole thing. So, anyway, thanks for taking the time to answer those questions for me. I appreciate it. And sounds like you're going to go to the board then with the recommendation on Gray Cloud.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, council member. Okay, moving on to the next.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Patrick.
I guess staying on the topic of Great Cloud Island, I try the best I can to watch as many of the city council meetings, planning commissions from the local area. The Great Cloud Island meetings are generally very difficult to watch. I mean, I'm looking at the capital investments. It shows that, there's $1,000 being allocated for the township meetings. So as a consumer, they're very difficult to watch. They're choppy, the volume, it's awful. As a commissioner, I also I'm on the other end of that too, which is, oh geez, it's kind of partly my responsibility to make sure that gets better. And I just wanted to make that, and I know things are in the works, but I wanted to bring that up because again, I also agree, I don't want Great Cloud to be this sort of, forgotten piece of this commissioner, forgotten piece of the community. It just, as a consumer, I enjoy watching those. I like to know what's going on, and they're very difficult to watch. And as a commissioner, I feel partly responsible for saying something and making sure that we're all aware that maybe there's something we can make sure gets done.
Sure, I appreciate that, Commissioner. We've essentially maxed out our capacity with bandwidth and cell coverage there. We're implementing equipment that runs the most efficient we can with what we're getting out there.
If you had cable out there,
Yeah.
it'd be a piece of cake, right?
Well, they have cable. They have cable. Where they meet, they have cable. They would just have to pay for the service part now. And so there's a cost issue that comes into play for them with that. So I think that's where we're meeting. Lonnie's been meeting with Brian and I as a technology kind of subcommittee, and we've been talking about how do we get better service to Gray Cloud, and we were just emailing today about, okay, is there service there? Yes, but the offering of the business class service that they want, I don't think they could afford that on a monthly basis. So I think we need to be kind of creative and figure out what we can do to come up with a solution that'll give them the internet connectivity that they need so that they can have better, and I agree that they're a part of the commission, they should have the same sort of quality video being produced out that any resident of Great Cloud Island or Newport or wherever could watch the video and say that it works. So, yeah, Lonnie?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Just so you do know, we have put some investment into Great Cloud. There's microphones that they didn't have before. There's some other things, and honestly, right now, it's one camera, one person trying to manage all that. And it usually, we in the last 2 years have streamed it live to YouTube. And that's a whole nother process. So, we're working on solutions to be cost effective because, again, it's a lot of money to have a business account when you have 2 meetings in a building, right? So we're looking at other options for those to try to give them that service. They do have an older crowd that cannot always make the meeting, especially in wintertime. So having it stream has been wonderful for them. Cheryl over there is, just loves that we can stream it live. So we're getting there. It's just, we're baby stepping it, to be honest. And we're trying to do the best we can with the funds that are available for that. So, yeah, I would love to be able to say, here, connect this cable, voila. But at this juncture, we just can't do that. So, okay.
Good points. Mark, so you wanted to continue highlighting anything else with the budget?
Yeah. The other piece is payroll. Looking at wages increasing by 2.98% with an overall payroll expense increase of less than 1%. Look, the spreadsheet here, Again, with revenue, just wanted to restate that we had cut revenue in 2020 by 10%. We backfilled it for this year and added 5%. And now next year, we're going to add the remaining 5% of the 10 that we cut. And that's because we've seen that the 621 order hasn't, at least to date, had the effect we thought it was going to. And with the ruling at the Sixth Circuit, although they ruled in favor of the cable companies, it was the best case scenario that it's not market value adjustments there going forward. So I feel confident we can add that revenue back in. I did go through the line items kind of one by one to fine tune those. Gave some a haircut here and there, and then we added some dollars here and there. For example, the vehicle expense that was new this year, we had allocated $4,000 for insurance. Well, we don't need that line item for next year because I found out that that is part of our overall liability insurance package that's in another line item. We're seeing that the maintenance and gas is running under budget, knock on wood. And so I feel confident that this is a buttoned-down budget. When we look at furniture and equipment for Newport, I did want to point this out too, that I added the same amount of capital expenditure that Newport is budgeted for this year for next year, and that's because of the timing of when this project is going to be expensed. So we're confident that we'll be able to expend it this year. However, if some did carry over into next year, we'll back out everything that we expense this year for next year. I just wanted that placeholder there for the next year. Either way, the surplus in funds will be, bottom lined as net revenue, unless we use it for something else, obviously. So, wages. There is a new proposal I put forward for the executive committee, and that's the Community Voices Grant that I'd like to talk about. The Community Voices Grant is the second memo. And our online folks, I'm bringing it up here. Just read these first couple paragraphs here. The South Washington County Telecommunications Commission provides a voice for the local governments and residents of South Washington County. To recognize our area's growing diversity, we are piloting a new grant program that provides an opportunity for an underrepresented community member to produce a compelling story told from their experience. The goal is to build partnerships that strengthen our member city communities while giving an emerging filmmaker an opportunity to jumpstart their career. Applicants will complete an application that details their story and the positive impact it will make in the community. Once selected, the Community Voices grantee will receive $6,000 to produce their 10 to 20 minute project. SWCTC will provide the equipment needed and the guidance and mentorship that is required to complete this project. And so what we plan to do is post this opportunity by March of next year, March through June. We've created a web page draft so far and an application through Google Docs. The two key components of the application is that they must be a resident of our member cities, and their story and synopsis must show a positive impact on the community. We'll select, we'll gather, the plan is to gather a panel, a review panel, grant review panel that will go through the applications. 3 finalists will be selected. Those finalists will present their idea in person or virtually, if we're, ideally in person, to the panel, and then the panel will select the grantee. And then, once we notify that individual, we'll work with their schedule to bring them into the studio to help produce their project. And all of our staff will be involved, but we do have 2 primary point staff people, Bob McSherry and Elena Myers, on staff that will be the main contacts for this individual. So we're really excited about this. The executive committee has approved this grant opportunity and would like to recommend its approval to the full commission. We hope it's a success. It's a pilot program. We hope it's a success, and we can continue to do that based on how well it goes. So, any questions on the Community Voices grant? Yes.
So I have a question now. So you can have this sort of narrowing process down to one person. Is there an opportunity, or would it be feasible such that maybe if the applicants, even if their story isn't the one selected, is it possible that maybe applicants could be sort of like a follow-along or a tag-along to watch the process? Because part of this I'm reading is you're offering some mentorship and some guidances. So even for those who don't win, or they're not the final selectee, would there be an opportunity or possibility? Again, this is going to take your staff time, this is going to take your energy, so I'm not trying to write a check that somebody else has to pay for, but maybe there's some percentage of them or some number of them, like, maybe I would like to watch it, learn, because maybe they're going to go out and do their own thing and maybe fund their own way of making their own story.
Certainly, that's a great idea. We'll take that into consideration, definitely. Again, we'll have to, talk about our schedules when it's actually happening, and, our producers are still going to be producing the work for the member cities. I can't really say what, we want to be able to make sure we do this right for the individual, but if there is opportunities to, we certainly need help in various areas where, out in the field, is a great opportunity for somebody to watch what's going on behind the scenes. It's definitely informative and a learning process. Many of us learned that way years ago too, just by tagging along. So I totally understand what you mean. Yeah.
Good.
Then finally, the final memo is the educational component, which I had worked with the executive committee on, and Chair James, telling him about the ideas that we could potentially pursue, and we basically came to the conclusion that let's do a little bit more research, let's make sure we're meeting the right people, making the right partnerships, understand where we can add value to what's already going on there. And I need some time to do that. So I'm not going to specifically ask for dollars right now, but I did want to continue the conversation and just give you a heads up that maybe in the summer or this time next year, there might be an ask for dollars.
And you'll have some experience how the Community Voices program worked out with your, your producers, the time that the mentorship that they're doing there is kind of be very applicable to what they're going to do, and you might have others that want to do this as well, if Lonnie wants to be a mentor even, so. So I think this will be it's definitely a good idea and program to keep in mind and be thinking about and talking about in 2022. Good.
That's the review I have of the budget.
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Wilson?
Thank you. I had one more question, Mark, sorry. You've presented the budget, and we've discussed a few different potential ideas. For example, the capital investment in Gray Cloud. Being that this is my first year on this commission, I hope you'll pardon my ignorance, but do you have, or do we have, a statutory timetable that we have to follow with respect to approving the budget? And the reason I ask that question is, being that it's October, could we potentially table the budget approval till December so that you had more time to work through some of the things we've talked about tonight and maybe plug some more numbers in? I don't know if that makes sense, if that's a good thing or not a good thing, but being that we have discussed some things that might require funding, I wanted to at least ask the question. I know next month is an executive committee meeting, so that'll be November. And then potentially the body could approve a refined budget in December. We have, as a city, we have a budget process that we go through, and we're required by law to approve our budget at a certain point in time. But it doesn't really hit the books, so to speak, until December. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Thank you, Councilmember. Yes, our bylaws state the vote should take place in October. However, at any time, the commission and board can adjust the bylaws to extend it, and we have done that in the past. We have voted on a budget in December in the past. So that's within your purview. Also, historically, the November and December meetings have been combined into one.
I see.
And so,
We really have one meeting left for the
I see.
year.
yeah, because of the holidays.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we have, the next meeting is our full commission meeting in December.
Okay.
That's on the books right now, but we can convene the executive committee at any time as well.
Well, there are people on the board here who have served much longer than I have, so I just wanted to ask the question. I don't know what the tradition has been, but, if you need additional time to refine the budget based on some of the dialogue from this evening, I would certainly be comfortable voting in December. But if you don't need that time and you just as soon get it done tonight, I'm flexible that way either. I just wanted to ask.
Appreciate it.
Well, our meeting schedule this year, okay, let somebody online talk.
Treasurer, we'll let the treasurer speak.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Andrea Date.
Hey,
I'm
Andrea.
remote tonight. I would just suggest that we do pass the budget tonight, if that's the majority will of the commission, and then we look at doing a budget amendment, which is something that we can do at any point. So the next time the executive committee would meet would be in January, and that would be a good time for us to take up those items. But I don't know that it would be feasible for us to get together between now and then to really make many modifications without really doing the due diligence and thought that we need to put forth in those items.
I was thinking the same thing, that a budget amendment could be had. So this year was an odd year. We got off, we do the alternating month, and it changed this year versus other years, right?
That's
So
correct,
normally, we would have ended the year with that November, December meeting being the final
Regular,
Full-
it's full commission.
full commission normally,
Yeah.
right?
And then January historically is another full commission, and then exec meets in February. We flipped it this last year because of the strategic planning
Yes.
discussions we wanted, and the elections, which we changed to January now to accommodate the city's placement.
Right.
So right now, we have a full commission meeting in January and exec. If we go back to what we
Yes,
had been
I thought
doing.
that was our intent, was to go back to start the year off with a full commission meeting, and then that every other gets into the pattern with that. So, so then the January or the December meeting would be an executive committee meeting then of this year, correct?
We have it scheduled as a full commission.
So we're just gonna have another full commission meeting?
But we can change it
Well, I just,
with a notification, legally, we can change it.
because if we have a full commission meeting tonight, and then we do another full commission meeting in December, and then we do another full commission meeting in January.
Not much work
Then we're
gets
not
done.
getting to the conversation
Right.
of,
Yeah.
that we want to have around the two items that were brought up. So to me, it feels like we should have an executive commission meeting in December, and then in January, we get back to
Okay.
them.
Was Councilmember Date suggesting January, however?
I think I was just confused, and I was thinking that the executive meeting was going to be in January, but if we pass everything that we need to do for the end of the year tonight, then certainly we could do the executive committee in December.
Yeah, that's what I'm proposing.
Okay.
That I think we should go ahead and approve the budget. We're good with the numbers and the work that we put into it. And then we do a December meeting, which will be the executive committee meeting, and we can talk about the additional items that we want, and then roll into our new new year with starting out with full commission meeting and the regular pattern that we'd been in all previous years before this.
Sounds good. Yep.
Well, then, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we pass the budget this evening as noted with the additions in the memos, and that the executive committee will meet to further refine the budget in December.
I'll second that.
Okay. Well, Mark, you'll
Yep.
do a roll call?
Chair James,
Aye.
Vice Chair Bloom,
Aye.
Treasurer Date, Secretary Ron,
Aye.
Councilmember Ingeman. Aye. Councilmember Olson,
Aye.
Commissioner Downs.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your work on that, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, new business. The administrative task of selecting the 2022 Officer Nominating Committee.
Yes,
All right.
Mr. Chair. We need to ask for 3 volunteers to convene as the nominating committee for the board officers for next year. The election will be in January. And the committee's responsibility is to gather the slate of officers that will be voted, that the commission will vote on by next month in December, or our next meeting, rather. The nominating committee does some behind-the-scenes work to ask if current officers are intending to run again for the same positions, and if there's any new commission members that would like to run for a certain seat. That's really their responsibility. We proposed the slate at our next meeting, but now we're changing it up a bit, so we can do that via email and vote then in January. Are there any volunteers that would like to be a part of the nominating committee?
And how many you need?
3.
Three.
Mhm. I do all the work anyway.
Hey, this is Tracy. I'll help this year. So
Okay,
They're all jumping up.
we have one.
I can help.
Okay.
Okay.
All meetings at Junction 70. No, I'm just kidding.
Sounds good.
All right, looking for one more.
Rock, paper, scissors for
We'll
it?
take 2.
Oh,
We'll take 2.
if you need one, I would be happy to jump on and help out.
Okay, great. Thank you, Commissioner Downs. Okay, we have a nominating committee consisting of Commissioner Rom, Bloom, and Downs. And I'll be in contact with you via email. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Having no other new business, I would open for commission comments or requests. Anything any of you commissioners want to bring up that hasn't been brought up already?
No.
Anyone online? If there is nothing else to discuss, then I would entertain a motion and second for the adjournment of the meeting.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Want to do the roll, Mr. Executive Director?
James,
Aye.
Bloom,
Aye.
Date,
Aye.
Rom,
Aye.
Ingeman,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Downs.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.